I was 4 years old when I was first directly affected by a suicide. In my hometown of Pangnirtung, Nunavut, many more suicides have happened since then. This is a common story across Nunavut. So many, too many people give up. So I was about this age when I was first affected. In Nunavut, the most likely way to die is by suicide. The suicide rates are 11 times higher than the Canadian national average, and for young Inuit men, their rates are 28 times higher. It's an atrocity. It affects everyone. And it starts with the family, but then it goes into the community, and it goes into the territory, and then it extends out of territory for people living out of the territory. I am an example of this as I study psychology at Mount Allison University to work towards becoming a mental health counselor. And I'm at a loss of words. It affects everyone, and there's so much pain. And there's so little resources. Second. Sorry, so embarrassing. Unartau Aninusayu is the title of my talk. You might not recognize this term in Inuktitut, but you've definitely heard it in English. This too shall pass. North in Focus is a mental health organization run by 3 university students, myself included. We run mental health workshops in northern Canada. We hope to provide youth with mental health basic mental health knowledge and avenues of self-expression and self-care. And we do not claim to be experts. Our goal is we're just passionate about creating an accessibility of resources for northern youth. We teach mental health through, we collaboratively created our mental health curriculum with the help of friends, and we implement this and weave it with avenues of self-expression such as photography and sports, and we encourage self-care through mindfulness activities. In these activities, we teach youth how basic photography methods, and we encourage them to take pictures, and we have them use their iPods or phones, and the North in Focus team shares their DSLR cameras with them. My teammates Gabrielle Foss and Eva Wu are very talented photographers, and they share their knowledge with us openly. We've held 2 successful workshops, our first in Pangnirtung, Nunavut, and our second in Nunavut. I joined North in Focus a bit later, and so I've only helped in planning and facilitating our workshop in Nain. Inuit are circumpolar people. We stem from Siberia to Alaska to Nunavut to Greenland and so many places in between. This is Inuit Nunangat, our land. We are strong people for being able to live off of almost entirely meat diets with and thriving in this land and providing this. And we are proud of this, and people see us as strong because we are thriving in the land that other people deem as barren or vast and just empty. But we are strong for surviving in this land. This is in Iqaluit. And in my hometown, Pangnirtung, Nunavut, we are proud of these things, and we work hard towards developing our love of land and our love of people. North in Focus is a big part of my life, and it is everything I've wanted to do in helping mental health and helping suicide rates and increasing mental health awareness in Nunavut communities. We've been fortunate enough to present at the 2017 Arctic Circle Assembly in Reykjavik, Iceland. And in this assembly, we held a breakout session, and we were fortunate enough to have the Honorable Minister Carolyn Bennett in our audience, as well as filmmaker Alethea Alnakuk-Baril, and MyTax Vice President of Strategic Enterprises, Duncan Phillips, in our audience. We were very fortunate to have met Duncan Phillips because he very graciously wanted to nominate us for the Arctic Inspiration Prize. And I'm very glad to share with you all that our application was successful, and North in Focus is now a laureate with $20,000 worth of funds to create a mental health toolkit for Nunavut and have this accessible and personalizable to all the communities in Nunavut. And it's a huge accomplishment for us as a small organization. I'm going to tell you a story. When I was about 12 years old, I was at lunch at my school in Nova Scotia. I lived there for a couple years, and someone called me a savage for eating seal meat. As an aside, I'd like to recommend the film Angry Inuk by Alethea Alnakuk-Baril. She very eloquently explains the reasoning of the seal hunt and how it's so much different than what the media portrays it to be. But anyway, my response to being called a savage was to call her a bitch. I thought this was appropriate at the time. I did not have the words to correct this. This was the first time I'd been called such a thing, but it definitely hasn't been the last. Now that I'm older, I have the words to correct these things, and I'm very proud to do that because it means I'm changing perspectives and creating change and making people confront the systemic racism that exists against Indigenous people and against Inuit especially, because we are so unrepresented in the media. Inuit are strong people, and these attitudes that create this racism are still alive and well. And what really affected me about this story is not what this person called me, but it's what the school did for action. I got in trouble. The girl who called me a savage did not. I had to stay inside for lunch, and I got a really stern talk in the hallway. This isn't fair. It's not okay, and it still happens to this day. People still don't recognize the systemic racism that exists in Canada. And this racism is perpetuated by the stereotypes and visions people have about people in the Arctic because of statistics, which I will reiterate for everyone. Suicide is the most likely way to die in Nunavut. Our grocery costs are about 4 times higher than Southern Canadians, and this is in the land where there's so much poverty. As a young Indigenous woman, I'm 4 times more likely to go missing than non-Indigenous women, and I'm 7 times more likely to be murdered too. It's a daunting life to recognize and to realize that this is reality. And knowing how it is now, it creates such fear in me that when I have children, they're going to face these hardships too if we don't help ourselves. But Inuit are strong, like I've said. We're making change, and we're working towards making things better. In my hometown of Pangnirtung, Nunavut, we're revitalizing a suicide prevention program through Inuit Ilagit. And I'm tearing up. 2017 was the first year since 2000 where there were no suicides. And knowing... People are making change. People are taking initiative. And Inuit, as well as all Indigenous people, we are resilient. We're self-sufficient and we are adaptable. We are creating change and we are establishing ourselves as strong people. We're taking back what was taken from us, such as there's so many initiatives to revitalize culture, such as learning how to skin seals again and stretch them and dry them, as well as the kakinit, the traditional tattoos. Those are being done again. Inuit women are reclaiming what was theirs. One day I hope to have these tattoos on my face. It's an amazing time to see our strength and to see we're waking up again. People don't typically associate the word warm with the Arctic, but people are what make the Arctic warm. We have so much rich culture and we have so much pride in who we are, and it keeps growing as we keep sharing our experiences, sharing what happened to us and how we hope to change and grow and face these awful statistics of poverty and suicide, and increasing this knowledge and making us more represented in the media on our terms, which is why it's so proud to see that Alithia Alnakukbaril created a movie for us. There's a lot of work to be done, but it's happening in baby steps. Through North in Focus, we are working hard to ensure that youth have accessibility in mental health, whereas in the land where there is almost no health care, such as there's no doctors, there's no registered counselors in the community, and who we have to speak to are social workers who are not registered counselors, and they often have to act as it. It's something that we hope to combat by connecting these youth who participate in our workshops with their social workers in their community, as well as other avenues such as Kids Help Phone and their various activities. And it's a big job, but we're doing it here. You can see the high kick, and we implement a lot of cultural activities in our programming as well to revitalize it. It's a big job, but we're doing it. And through the help of the Arctic Inspiration Prize, we are showing how strong we are, we're showing how capable we are. And I'd like to tell a story about how strong our ties continue to be to the land. Some of my favorite childhood memories are spending camps, being in camps at my Iluku's house on the land, and Iluku means grandmother. And I remember one day where in the summer the sun doesn't set. It's sunny all the time. And we'd play outside from when we woke up to when we went to sleep. And I remember one day where Maku, my grandfather, my atata or father, and my cousin went out to get a seal on the boat, but they came back with a beluga. This is big. I still remember hearing the screams of joy as everyone ran to the shore to help them and help get the beluga. And we had a wonderful meal of whale skin, which is matdak. And I can't express the joy that we feel when we have these things. And this is where we know revitalizing our culture is the way to heal, and we are doing it ourselves. We are adaptable and we are strong. Despite all of these difficulties, we're pulling through and we are doing amazing things. And this is applicable to anyone, despite your discipline, despite your subject. You can make change like this. You can heal. You can do better. And as long as you are resilient and you are strong, you can do it. There's so much to do, and we can all do it together. In my times of hardship, I constantly remind myself, "Unat daw aninu sayu," or "this too shall pass." I've been introduced, but let me introduce myself. Atiga Komangaapik amalu Rose. Pangnirtung Inuyunga. My legal names are Ashley Rose Cummings, but my traditional names are prominently Komangaapik and Rose. Through the traditional Inuit naming system, when someone passes away, their name is given to the babies that are born directly after their death. The children symbolically become this person, and we hope to take on the best traits of this person, which is why it's so important to me to share my traditional names with all of you, because they are strong people who were before me, and I'm happy to continue their life for them through their name and be a person to someone else. I'm called mother, or I'm called grandmother by so many people because of these names. Thank you so much.